Then after that, when the Prophet ﷺ said to Mu'adh radiallahu anhu, أَلَا أُخْبِرُكَ بِرَأْسِ الْأَمْرِ. After he mentioned him the gates of goodness, he said, should I inform you of the head of the matter and the pillar of it and the highest point of it? And the amr, the matter here, is al-Islam, or this entire matter of the entire life and the concerns and the deen of Allah and so on. He said, رَأْسُ الْأَمْرِ الْإِسْلَامِ. The head of the matter is al-Islam. This is the most important thing in one's life, is to submit oneself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And even in the subject of da'wah, you see how the deception that people have when it comes to the deen of al-Islam, they think it's another religion, like other religions. There's no religion like the religion of al-Islam. And religion, by the way, is also not a very correct translation to the word deen. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Malik Yawmiddin. He's the owner of the day of ad-deen, the day of recompense. And the deen is whatever people are upon, it's considered to be deen. So if people are upon secularism, that's their deen. If people are upon atheism, this is their deen. Right? And the deen that only accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Deenul Islam, which is to submit yourself willingly to the creator of the heavens and the earth. And if that is presented to any human being with non-corrupted fitra and nature, he would see that this is the perfect way of life. Submit yourself willingly to the creator of the heavens and the earth. So this is the head of the matter, al-Islam, the deen of al-Islam, with all what it means. وَعَمُودُهُ الصَّلَاةِ. And the pillar of it is the salah. You know how the tents in the old days, and still present till today, different than the conventional tents. You know, the tent is just based on one pillar in the middle, and that's it, and pegs on the ground. Right? So the amuduhu salah, that if this pillar is not there, there is no tent. It does not exist. And when we say pillar, sometimes when we talk about the pillars of al-Islam, you might think if one pillar is removed, it's like a building has many pillars. If one pillar is removed, the building becomes weak, things like this, but it's not necessarily going to collapse right away. But when you think as the pillar, which is as the example of the tent, if that pillar does not exist, right, if it's removed, there's no tent anymore. It's considered to be just a piece of cloth. So it's not like a weak structure, or it's about to collapse. It does not exist to start with. So the Prophet ﷺ, when he said that, وَعَمُودُهُ الصَّلَاةِ, the amud, the pillar of the matter of al-Islam, is the salah. So therefore, there's no salah, there's no Islam. And you can say whatever you want to say. But this is what the Prophet ﷺ said. الْعَهْدِ الَّذِي بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَهُمُ الصَّلَاةَ فَمَنْ تَرَكَهَا فَقَدْ كَفَرَ. The covenant between us and them, meaning the kuffar, is the salah. Whoever leaves it, he had committed disbelief. وَذِرْوَةُ سَلَامِهِ الْجِهَادِ. And the highest point of it is al-jihad. Al-jihad is to struggle with oneself and one wealth for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and its maratib, its levels. And there is the jihad of oneself, and the jihad of the munafiqeen, the hypocrites, with speech, and the jihad of the disbelievers for those who are entrusted with this. So these are levels of the jihad, and that's the highest level. And that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from the believers, to elevate themselves so that their life and their wealth and everything is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What's the purpose of the jihad? To make the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala superior. So that means the words of Allah should be superior in our lives, in the lives of others, and things like this. And every matter has its rulings, clear instructions, who is responsible for it. And that's why without knowledge, people are in disarray. They are in chaos when they do not have the proper knowledge of the deen of Islam. Then after, when we talk about all of this, you think that this is a lecture. What is it all about? What is this all about? It's about the tongue. How can that be? The Prophet ﷺ said at the end, أَلَا أُخْبِرُكَ بِمِلَاكِ ذَلِكَ كُلِّ. Should I inform you of how to get all of this under control? All of what we said, how to get all of this together, what to do? Then he said, yes, O Prophet of Allah. The Prophet ﷺ, and imagine this, فَأَخَذَ بِلِسَانِهِ. The Prophet ﷺ took his tongue physically. He held his tongue like this. The Prophet ﷺ held his tongue. And he said, كُفَّ عَلَيْكَ هَذَا. Which means control this, from you. Control it, as if this is your enemy. If you leave it, it'll take you in such a dangerous state. So كُفَّ عَلَيْكَ هَذَا. Kuff. Stay away, control. Keep it away. If you control this, that means this will get you in control of all of what we heard, which is the entire deen of Islam. So then he said to the Prophet ﷺ, are we going to be held accountable of what we say? The Prophet ﷺ said, Dakilatka ummuk, which means may Allah lose you, may your mother lose you. And this not really literally what the Prophet ﷺ said, it's an expression said by the Arabs, which means, this is a sense of humiliation. How can you say such a thing? Then he explained to him that the thing that gets people to fall onto their faces in the hellfire is what they harvest with their tongue. So if you control your tongue, you get all of what is mentioned in this hadith under control by the will of Allah. Is there anything else that can make us more aware of the danger of the tongue and the benefits of the tongue? That should be sufficient, inshallah ta'ala, for us.